Left Wing Kings. Listen, think, act, repeat.
Welcome to the Left Wing King podcast. Today we're diving into an extremely hot topic. Why some companies are abandoning their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. I am your HMIC, your head moderator in charge, Malik, and I'm joined today by King Ace.
What up, what up?
And King Steve.
What's going on?
And we got a anonymous person holding us down on the comments today, all right? So let me break down how the show is going to work. We're going to go over all of our topics, and once we're done, we're going to circle back and respond to some of the comments and questions that you have in the live stream chat and from Facebook and from YouTube. And then we're going to take a few phone calls, and I'll share the call-in number when we're ready to take those calls. Got it? Let's get it. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs were once seen as necessities to ensure fairness and foster cultural understanding in companies all across our great nation. But today, many organizations are dropping their programs like bad habits, which raises questions about the future of the United States workplace. So let's get into the top 5 reasons companies are abandoning their DEI programs. First up, we have political backlash. In recent years, DEI programs have become a target for conservative activists and politicians who view them as woke initiatives. Ace, what are woke initiatives and why are they viewed as bad things?
I mean, well, you know, we've had this show before several times, and we established that DEI, the words aren't even bad words. So the overall principles behind it aren't bad. But when we're talking about the specific programs that they're talking about things that, like, you know, work toward ensuring people are included when it comes to race, sexual orientation, hiring practices. Not saying that they're hiring them because of that, but at least allowing them to get in the room to get the interview, to be looked at. Education. We know in Texas here, they've literally went through and attacked education. Well, that's allowing people to get in school and get the education so they can have the same fairness and the same chances. When they're saying woke initiatives, that's what they're talking about. Things that even the playing field. And most people that kind of go over it, they're feeling that they're discriminated against because of that, which, you know, unfortunately, and right before the show, we kind of talked about it, shouldn't be a reason that we need DEI. Nope. You know, but unfortunately, the history of this country, that's why we're where we're at with it.
Yeah.
And that's what they mean by woke initiatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, in our society, the majority, if everybody else is even put freaking, you know, before we were 50 feet behind them, now, you know, if you put us 10 feet behind them, they're still ahead. They still have more opportunities, but they'll see it as unfair.
Yeah.
A lot of these initiatives look at things that are happening in minority communities, and they try to do things to support those communities so that they have better opportunities. And another thing that's unfortunate, I think that the right has done a very good job of scaring people who don't have. They have done a very good job of scaring a lot of the Hispanic community, mm-hmm. which is unfortunate because a lot of these programs help them, a lot of them, and they've done a job on these white women. And really, when you look at affirmative action, diversity, equity, inclusion, the group that has benefited the most is white women. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They've benefited more than Black people. They've benefited more than, you know, everybody else. Okay. So, and when you talk about woke, what we consider woke in the Black community is being aware, knowing what's going on. They've taken woke and they've just turned it into some bullshit.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. They've turned it into like it's an attack on the white race, and that's not what it is. You know, exactly. Not at all. I mean, you know, you if you want, you have to admit that there's a difference, and this myth that no, everything's equal now. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not equal. You know what I'm saying? I was talking about a work situation I had this week where someone of race got, was being benefited because of their race. You can't tell me anybody else would have been fired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're still walking around in the building.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do that because, you just a, solid person. They did that because you're white. You can say what you want to, because I've seen too many people walk out on less. You know what I'm saying? And you've done a direct violation and you're still here. So is DEI important? Is being woke still important? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so it's all the spin doctoring that was happening to not only cause fear in white race, but to even convince some black people that it wasn't necessary. Black people that got their positions because of it. Clarence Thomas, you know what I'm saying? Like you talking against it, and the main reason you in where you were at is because of DEI programs to get you into the school that you were in, the positions you got hired in. And I hate that you didn't like it, but let's be real, you were hired because they let the other black guy go, and you got in there. So, yeah, I mean, they turned it and twisted around and made it a bad word.
It's funny how like you said, they twisted it around and they turned it into something bad. Where Walanda said, she hit it in the comments that stay woke became a rallying cry for awareness about societal inequities, encouraging people to educate themselves and take action. This is not a cry to harm, but to help. And what that reminds me of is this: woke DEI and supposedly what they call woke initiatives is not only about getting somebody a job. Yeah. It's about awareness. It's about cultural awareness. A lot of the DEI programs have nothing to do with getting a job. A lot of it is around just understanding why a certain race or a certain religion wears a certain type of headwear, or understanding why, or celebrating Latin American month, or celebrating, LGBTQ, type of, I guess, activities, or, celebrations or whatever. It's not just about, what I mean, like getting somebody a job. DEI is a whole, like a very a wide ranging initiative that has many spokes and a lot of different things that help people not only to be understood, but to move forward. Like you said, like, hey, give you a fair shot. Not give you a job that you don't deserve. Not give you a job that you don't have the certifications for or the experience for, but to put you into the room to be able to say, hey, I got as much on my plate as this other person over here. I have as much experience as them, as much certification as them, and I deserve a chance to at least be talked to, because I shouldn't be kept out of the room because of my religion or my sex or my color of skin. It's a whole lot of things. And when they say these woke initiatives, ain't nobody doing nothing there should be woke initiatives to help you understand the differences between people, if that's what you're referring to. But if they're referring to, hey, this is a bad thing, woke is bad. Woke ain't bad. When was being aware bad?
And act like you can't talk about it. When you're talking right there, it's trying to get rid of the country club hires. I've worked for the guy that was not qualified, got his position because he was white. I've worked for that guy. You know what I'm saying? Plenty of times. Didn't know what the hell he was doing. Hell, you want me to train him what to do? Do that shit with the quickness. But then they want to reverse and think that's what we're doing here with DEI hires. That ain't what we're doing. That's what you've been doing. You know what I'm saying? So what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, guys I trained that became the manager. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So, it's just, they're trying to make it to where it's uncomfortable or something that you can't say, do, or talk about. But that's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, plain and simple. Like, just the political atmosphere and all of that, they try to make it to where it's like something wrong when you're talking about DEI and including people. You're talking about inclusion.
Yep.
Equity and inclusion, but inclusion, that's what you just talked about when you're talking about these programs. Most of the time it's just, hey, you know what this month is? LGBTQ month or Latin month or Black History month or whatever, that inclusion in the workplace or inclusion in public places is what we have to address. Why that would be a bad idea, why that's bad, I have no idea, and why there's a and we're going to get into a little bit about why there's a conscious effort to get rid of it. I don't understand what that is, other than the fact that you have ill intentions.
Yeah.
I think that also when it comes to stuff like that, just like you said, they're shooting themselves in the foot, because they'll get mad about stuff. It's like, why are you getting mad about that? They got mad because they had a whole bunch of rainbow flags and shit on Pride Month. If you don't like it, don't buy the damn rainbow flag. What's the big deal? Shit, you gonna get mad because somebody got a damn flag? Shit, if your ass ain't gay with it, don't worry about it. Go buy something from another section. Yeah. People get upset about things when it's not really. There's no point in getting upset about that.
Yeah.
Representation doesn't mean that you have to embrace or even fucking pay attention. Just move on sometimes.
Yeah.
You shouldn't get angry just because somebody has representation at a place. And it's not, like you said, it's not even always about a job. A lot of times it's merchandise, man. Freaking, little things. And it causes outrage, which to me, it's like, look, shit, whether I agree with it or not, motherfucker, you like it, I love it. Go ahead and, do whatever.
Yep.
I don't understand the anger with a lot of things that people get mad about.
Yeah. It's crazy, like how people get so upset, and whether it's a company or it's an individual that I don't agree with that lifestyle or whatever, or I just don't know those people, so I don't understand why they don't speak this, like why they don't speak English or whatever. It's crazy, man. But I mean, I do want to touch on the next topic that kind of ties into this. But from a company aspect, they're afraid of like their reputation being harmed. So reputational risk is the next thing we want to talk about. Companies that engage in DEI practices may face accusations of reverse racism or reverse discrimination, which can damage a company's reputation. Steve, will the risk of reverse racism make DEI programs a thing of the past?
That depends. I feel like there's going to be minimal backlash as far as reverse racism, but I do feel like the Black community needs to start taking its money and spending it where we're appreciated. The Hispanic community needs to start taking its money and spending it where it's appreciated.
Already started, brother.
Yeah, the LGBTQ community, if they be like, oh, well, we don't want nothing for Pride Month. Okay, well, we not buying the other 11 months. We ain't buying shit from you neither. Same thing with Black history. The problem right now is this. Marginalized communities have not made these companies hurt when we are not included, when we are not appreciated. And as far as I'm concerned, if you want change, it's just like Martin Luther King and the whole civil rights movement with the Montgomery boycott. If you can't give us a seat at the table, well, then we ain't fuck your table. We ain't being bothered with it.
Yeah.
And that is not, look, we ain't begging, we ain't asking. Look, if you don't want us, okay, cool. Look,
you don't want our money.
Yeah, you don't want our money. We're gonna do our business elsewhere, and we ain't even gonna complain about it. We just gonna move on. But the thing about it is this: minority communities have to make a decision. Okay, maybe I'm gonna pay 15, 20 cents more for some things sometimes in order to be appreciated. Sometimes it's gonna cost. Now, if it costs $4 or $5 more, well, then look. But look, if you got to pay freaking 20 more cents for a gallon of milk to buy milk from somewhere where the people appreciate you, sometimes you got to do that. Yeah. It's a principle of it.
Yep.
Nissan, along with some of the major car people, they just got rid of their DEI programs. I just saw that this morning. That's the fear factor in this corporate thing, is that they're now fearing, especially with the new administration coming in and attacking it, they're fearing the backlash of that. So it's a serious thing. So definitely.
Yeah, man. I think that because of the messaging, the propaganda, like and it starts with politicians. And it's trickled down to news corporations and podcasts and all that other shit. I mean, the fear, the propaganda, and the fear mongering that's out there is what is causing individuals to think that reverse racism is going to occur. So here's my thing. When they say like, well, reverse racism make DEI thing in the past. Reverse racism to me means that you can't be racist against white people. But what they're saying is it's impacting us in a negative way because black people are getting jobs or black people are getting this or getting that. And I will tell you right now, when you bring that up, what it means to me is that these individuals, they're upset because we're getting a seat at the table. Yeah. Like you said, like reverse racism means they're giving black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, they're giving them a chance.
Yeah.
That's reverse racism to me, because you are not being like negatively impacted from a stance where like we're saying you can't do something.
Yeah.
Like, or you're going to get like worse regulation or worse laws or like that's what racism created for us. It created a place where like we weren't getting the same shot as other people. Like we were being held back by like they put laws into place that made it easier to arrest us and make us do free labor. They put, they did all kind of shit to us. Exactly. And so we're not doing anything to white people. We're just now bringing other people up so they can get the same things you get. So that's reverse racism to you?
Yeah. And it's funny because like when I look at things like Disney, okay, Disney got a lot of backlash because they started having characters of color.
Mm-hmm.
And my issue with that is this. Okay, you're mad because now we got a few more black and brown stories being told when the first 75, 80 years of Disney wasn't nothing but white folks and the black person gonna be the janitor or the mammy.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you're mad because we got Black Panther and freaking the Falcon.
Exactly.
It's really sad that people don't realize, okay, for years, this has been the case. And for years, what happens is this: if they did give somebody of color an opportunity, and I mean, it still happens now, depending on the community and everything. Mm-hmm. For instance, I mean, it's government, it's not a business. But if you look at Ben Carson, okay?
Yeah.
Ben Carson was a brilliant surgeon, okay? Brilliant, one of the best in the world. When he got put into a cabinet position, did they make him a surgeon general, which would be a good position for a doctor?
Probably.
Or even an EPA where you can look at the science and everything.
Mm-hmm.
No, they made him the damn HUD secretary, which guess what? Guy. Yeah, because he's the black guy. That was his only qualification for that. Okay, so when you do things like that, yeah, well, then people are like, well, that doesn't seem fair. No, fuck no, that ain't fair. Mm-mm. But there were 1,000 other things he was qualified for.
Exactly.
But the thing about it is, what people don't realize is that they never see us as good enough to do things, even if we are world renowned.
Exactly.
Yep. And
we got a 4-star general sitting up in there, the Secretary of Defense. We about to remove him to put a captain, or what was he, a major, I think.
A Fox host who had a controversial military career.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's just laughable, bro.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, we look at government and we say, okay, government is this way, but corporate America is different. But it's not.
It's very similar.
It's very similar. It's a good old boys club.
Mm-hmm.
And, if Roger went to school with somebody's, son or whatever, and then he gets interviewed, and then you have Tyrone who did not go to school with that person because he didn't have the connections.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's more qualified. Guess what? He's still probably not going to get hired.
Yeah.
So what we're asking for is just to be included.
Exactly.
Just look, that shouldn't be controversial.
It shouldn't be. But I mean, it is, unfortunately. And I do think that reverse racism is going to play a big part because they keep trying to use that as the excuse of getting rid of DEI programs. And Walanda commented, she said, many sociologists argue that racism involves power and systemic oppression, meaning reverse racism doesn't exist in the way traditional racism does.
Absolutely.
Of course, right? Others contend that any social discrimination, regardless of context, is harmful. Well, that's two sides of the coin. There's always going to be a difference of opinion on that, definitely. But I do want to break into the next thing that we wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. And the next thing is internal resistance. Mm-hmm. So not all employees, surprisingly, are on board with DEI initiatives. Some may feel that these programs are unnecessary or divisive. So how does internal resistance create challenges and lead to scaling back of DEI programs?
When you have companies and you have people who are like, well, I don't understand why it is, for instance, if you have people who are Muslim and they're strictly adhering to the time of day that they pray and everything. Okay, they will be a lot of times people who don't really take an opportunity to look at the situation.
Right.
They might say, oh, well, that's not fair, but they're good when we get Good Friday off, which is a Christian holiday. They're good when we get Christmas off, again, which is a Christmas holiday.
I'm just in New York, I was good to get all them holidays off, Jewish holidays, everything. Yeah, I was off.
Look, and see, I'm always down for a party. Look, I put on my little yarmulke. I'm good with it, boy. Look, but you gotta give people an opportunity to celebrate who they are, because the thing about it is everybody that you give an opportunity to is going to bring something different to the table.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but if you're not exposed to those people, if you're not given an opportunity to learn about the different cultures and everything, you might not automatically appreciate it.
Yeah.
And what I ask people to do is this, keep an open mind. Somebody might not have the same views as you, okay? Some of the things that DEI does is give you an opportunity to understand what it is and why they do what they do or feel how they feel or practice how they practice. Mm-hmm. It is imperative that people also realize this. Just because somebody has an opportunity doesn't mean that they're taking away something from you automatically.
Exactly.
Okay. If you're a better fit for a job, you're going to get that job whether that person is interviewed or not.
Yep. That's what I say.
So we need to look at our white brothers and white sisters and say, look, we just want a seat at the table. Hispanic people just want a seat at the table. If you see somebody in a hijab, you shouldn't be treating them weird or looking at them crazy or something like that. We just want respect.
Exactly.
And that shouldn't be too much to ask for.
Nah, not at all.
And, be it internally or externally, we have to look at these things, and we have to respect people.
Yeah.
And if we don't, what it does is, especially if you're in a company and the company is diverse, you will have people who feel uncomfortable. And those people might be uncomfortable and they might leave, and they might end up going to another company, and whatever it is that they're contributing automatically gets taken away from your company.
Yeah.
So if you have diversity, equity, inclusion, people might gripe about it, but it's profitable.
Yeah. I mean, we got a comment on here. So Walanda says, individuals may feel their positions, privileges, or opportunities are being undermined by DEI efforts. Like they have a fear of being overlooked for promotions due to affirmative action policies. So I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. I think there's a lot of internal strife or pressure put on people, because when we look at internal resistance and how it's creating those challenges, there's a lot of examples out there. Like I know at my organization, when being a company that helps to serve the military and has products and things for the military, I remember back when Kaepernick was kneeling, and man, we have like a forum where people can go on and voice their opinions about stuff. And of course, my company is an NFL sponsor. And they was like going in on the company, like, how can you continue to sponsor the NFL when they're supporting Kaepernick and blah, blah, blah. And then same thing when the Black Lives Matter thing came out, and they was, they had like a lot of Black Lives Matter on their jerseys. They still have like on the back of some of their helmets and stuff like that. They kind of settled down. But initially when that came out, you had people at my organization, like, on that same like forum, just saying how they feel about it. And I can't believe we're supporting the NFL. We need to boycott the NFL and stop, promoting and blah, blah, blah. So when a company sees that, and first and foremost, like, you gotta be real damn brave to put shit like that on your company, like websites and shit. But I mean, the company that I work for is very like open to you putting your opinion out there, which is a good thing. But at the same time, the company has to see that, and then they have to say, okay, what internal resistance are we gonna have to like more promotion of these types of DEI programs? Because people are out here, they mad at us for supporting the NFL or being a sponsor of the NFL when we not even really putting no program out. We just sponsor the NFL. So what if we do a program for Black people or for Irish American Day, or the other Hispanics going to get mad because we're celebrating Irish American Day? I mean, what is going to happen out there? There's a lot of companies have to put that into perspective, because there is a lot of things that can happen internally. People could quit. They could lose people, like you said. People could just act stupid at the job because they don't like what you're doing. I mean, they have to consider that.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. We do celebrate Irish American Day. It's called St. Patrick's Day and Columbus Day, and I think that's they don't understand.
Indigenous People Day.
Yeah,
there's German American Day. There's
no. But what I'm saying is, to your point, let's say St. Patrick's. I'm not Irish, but my whole life I've been forced to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in a way, or whatever the case may be. Because, and that's what they don't understand, where DEI comes into play.
Easter.
Your stuff's already instilled. You know what I'm saying? We already have to do that. We don't need a DEI program for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why DEI programs exist, because, we want to remember our day also. We want our day or our month or whatever the case may be, which we just get a month. You got all year. You know what I'm saying? Including our month. You know what I'm saying? So, but either way it goes, we're on topic of companies and talking about that. And it comes down to financial. A lot of these big corporations and stuff, they spend money toward it. They just want to cut the finances on it, utilize it somewhere else.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you look at stuff like this, though, just like I said, when you look at profit, okay, for instance, Juneteenth. White people get mad about Juneteenth, okay? A lot of these companies, they have internal strife. People at Walmart and stuff were saying they didn't want to have to sell stuff for Juneteenth. That's making you money. Why don't you want to sell something for Juneteenth? HEB sells stuff for Juneteenth. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why? I think that a lot of the fear of other, if it causes some people to quit or people to walk away or whatever, if you're that afraid of other, maybe you need to find another job. Shit. Because at the end of the day, this is what's going to happen. Okay. You're either going to be able to adapt and everybody's going to be able to live together, because ain't nobody going anywhere. This is America. Okay. Ain't nobody going nowhere. And just like they look, white folks always get mad and be like, oh, if you don't like it, you can get the hell out. Well, so can you, motherfucker. Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
If everybody's here, we all here, Native Americans was here before us. Yeah. The Hispanic community, before there was a state of Texas, there was Hispanic people in this motherfucker.
It was called Mexico, bro.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we were part of Mexico. So they have been here. Okay.
Well, let's just put it this way. Like, if we really want to take it back, there were indigenous people here, because the only reason why people in Mexico speak Spanish is because Spain colonized them. They are not. Let's stop saying like, well, there was Hispanic people. No, there was indigenous people here who have to speak Spanish because they were forced to speak Spanish. Mexican people don't even like. You weren't just speaking Spanish when you came up. You were Aztecs. They were all. You were not. You were not speaking no damn Spanish
No.
until you got colonized. Just like we got colonized, or not we, but just like this area got colonized, and so all the indigenous people speak English now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I like your point about like, you said Juneteenth, and you said Juneteenth too. Like they hate Juneteenth and shit like that. But at the end of the day, we celebrate that because that's our freedom day.
Yeah.
The 4th of July, we were still slaves.
Absolutely.
We was not freed from anything. Like we still got the same treatment that we had the day before July 4th. Okay, we didn't get treated no differently. Like July 3rd to July 4th didn't flip no switch for black people. White people, we don't have the tyranny of the English king anymore. We can have our own rules and this, that, and the other. No flip was switched for us.
No,
we was the same slaves we was on July 3rd. So when we say we're gonna celebrate some Juneteenth, that's our day when we actually became supposedly equal citizens. So I mean, when we talk about like days that exist, there are, just because you don't know they exist don't mean they don't exist. And people always like, they'll complain about, well, how come you're not celebrating German Day? Look it up, Google that shit. There's a fucking day in the United States where we celebrate German heritage.
You got
how come we don't celebrate? How come we don't celebrate Italians? There's a day that we celebrate Italian heritage here.
Day,
You know what I'm saying? There's all types of days for all types of people. You don't even celebrate them. So why do you care? They don't. Why do you care that we celebrate our day? It's kind of funny that they do that shit.
Yeah. I mean, and truth be told, like we fought in the Revolutionary War too. And we died in that.
Crispus Attucks was the first person.
Yeah, and shit still didn't change.
No,
nope. I'm saying? Like, we fought in the French and Indian War. You know what I'm saying? We fought in every war. We bled in every war over here. Shit didn't change for us. And even when we got Juneteenth after the Civil War, which we fought in, it took you till 1964 to pass the Civil Rights Act, till we got some kind of equality.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, man. 1864 to 1964. Yeah,
think about it.
That's a long damn time.
Yeah.
Shit, so.
I got Dr. Sizer on here. He says DEI counters what effectively allows people to practice what they do in their personal lives, upholding the good old boy network and discriminatory practices. Intellects should want to learn other practices and cultures.
Yeah,
exactly.
That good old boy network.
Yeah, man.
And that's the whole deal. And that's what they want back, because they want to keep that good old boy network going. And that's, everybody in this room has been a victim of that. Saying so.
Yeah. Well, the next thing that we want to talk about here are regulatory changes, because the changes in government policies and regulations can negatively impact DEI programs as well. So I'm going to ask Ace this one because I asked Steve the last one.
Okay.
With conservatives in control of Congress, what regulations might we see being imposed on companies that have DEI programs?
I mean, I think they're going to, first and foremost, if they got any federal money coming, that's gone. You know what I'm saying? They're going to they're going to put in legislation that's going to directly go at getting rid of DEI programs, especially on the federal level. So probably contract bids, if you pushing DEI, that's gone. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's some of the regulatory things that are going to come into play. I hope it doesn't get to the point where if you're practicing it on your own, or if they're practicing it and they're using their own monies, there's no stipulations that affect them, business wise. But what I can honestly see right now is probably to start off is if you're fairly funded, that's going to be over with.
Yeah. And we have to be mindful, because when you look at even what Trump was talking about with the schools and everything, and he was saying, these white folks need to get reparations. We was fucked over for years. We ain't getting no reparations. He's talking about giving white people money they, wasn't admitted into schools and shit like that properly. So what the government does and can do can be quite far reaching. Okay. So just like Ace said, when you talk about contracts, when you talk about grants, okay, anything like that, they have a lot of power. Okay.
Yeah.
I will say this again, as people of color, just like the government has power, we need to utilize our power. Because everything that we say is a problem, we also need to look at it and say, okay, this is a solution to that problem. And a solution to all of these problems is we as a community, and not, oh, well, we as Black people and we as Hispanic people and we as, LGBT. Everybody needs to unite, and we need to say, okay, look, we want what's fair.
Right.
We want what's equitable, okay? And if they don't give it to us, then we don't need to shop at these places.
Yep.
If Congress and the Senate aren't giving us these things, then we need to vote them out.
Yep.
The problem right now is this. The people who are marginalized, the people who are hurt most by these programs are not using their political power. If you do not use your political power, you fucked.
Yeah.
Okay. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you look at even the last election, look at how many people didn't vote, stayed their ass at home.
Mm-hmm.
You stay at home, you don't get a say.
Nope.
So then when something happens and they start taking away programs in your neighborhood because of DEI or some bullshit like that, you don't have anything to say. You can't say anything because you ain't vote. You ain't exercise your voice.
Yeah.
Okay. And these senators and these congressmen, there are two things they will respond to. They will respond to contributions and they will respond to votes.
Mm-hmm.
If you mad, they don't give a fuck if you mad.
Mm-mm.
Now, if you take away their money, they'll respond to that because that's going to hurt them when it comes to being able to run a campaign and get votes. If they see a lot of people, if you have a high turnout as far as minorities and voting and everything, that is going to hurt them. So what we need to do is we need to exercise our political power to combat these things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where's the money gonna go that they're getting rid of all these DEI programs? I'm saying, and I think when you're saying political power, they're not understanding that if you're losing political power, you're losing money. And there's things that are being allocated for you or being done for you, just like in education. All right, well, in my neighborhood, they shut down a public school. Now these kids are gonna go to the private schools. Well, the money for the public school, where does that go? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the question people got to ask. Like, somebody's going to make a whole bunch of money off you not participating politically. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, now instead of your kid being able to walk across the street to school, you're going to have to drive them somewhere and probably pay a tuition or get some kind of voucher or something for it to get them educated. And the other choice is, if you can't afford it, your kid just don't go to school.
Yeah.
That's what they do in Africa, guys. That's what they do in other countries. They have to pay for their education.
Yeah.
That's why when they come over here and they get free education, they take advantage of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So these are some of the slight changes that you're going to see that are affected directly by your political choice. And now they don't even want you to be included in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're talking about today. They don't want it diverse. They want it all cookie cutter, one shape. They don't want it equal. You know what I'm saying? They don't want your vote to count like their vote. That's what they're saying. And they definitely don't want you included. You know what I'm saying? So that's where DEI comes in. And so instead of letting people throw it out and say negative things about it, understand what it's about and fight for it. Because unfortunately, it's almost like, I guarantee you, if somebody died back in the Civil Rights Act or right at the end of it, or the Civil Rights era, and came back now, it would be like, what the fuck y'all doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All the shit we fought for, you're just letting it slide by. I have this argument with Black people. I think, that's why they marched and all that shit back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So you can even have this fucking argument and you're going to just let them take it the fuck away from you.
Yeah.
Got you.
I think it's a funny thing that these companies that might want to do the right thing will be punished through regulation. So put it to you this way, like, everybody remembers, I don't know if y'all remember, but I know y'all were alive, but y'all may not remember when banks went through their regulation. Like, they started having all this big regulation over banking industry, and it's all these like rules and regulations that they have to follow for whether it's your credit or whether it's giving out loans or mortgages or whatever.
Mhm.
And guess what? If you don't follow those things, you could be fined. You got big fines. Same thing with like the EPA. So organizations that manufacture goods or whatever, they have all these regulations through the EPA. They can't do this and they can't do that. And I could easily see them start making some new fucking thing for diversity, equity, and inclusion program. I don't know what it would be called, but if you engage in one, now you have all this additional regulation that you need to abide by. And if they look at you and you're not doing these things, they can fine you. So that's worse than you not being able to get a contract, because these fines are billions of dollars. They're taking your existing profits and taking them from you. They're not stopping you from getting a contract or a job. They're hitting your bottom line, your stock, all of this shit by putting fines on you. Like I can tell you, like my company is in finance, and there's been a bunch of like regulation fines that we've been hit with over the years for doing shit that was just some simple shit that we should have done better. And they can easily start to say, hey, if you're going to have a DEI program, then you got to have, here's what this new regulation is going to say, that you got to follow all of these rules, and you got to make sure that you're fair, and you got to do this and you got to do that. And not only are they going to control what you can or cannot do, but they can then hit your pocketbook with fines. So
yeah,
that's how I kind of see regulation coming through with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, definitely. And it's funny, from administration is really going to go after government, do a lot of deregulation. I can see in this situation where they will try to utilize that, just to, put a hurt on a damper on.
That's a great point. Like deregulating, like a lot of the civil rights type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we know the Trump administration is going to go through. You talk about the EPA, they're going to go deregulate a lot of things so businesses don't have to pay these fines, and they don't have to pay these things. But then I can see, like you said, in this case, DEI, we don't want that, so we're going to make it just completely difficult or completely a problem if you get in it, to where you're not going to want to even deal with. Not only going to cut your funds, but if you do want to go ahead and do it, we're going to make it so hard for you to probably conduct business that you're not going to want to do it at all.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's crazy.
And I think that what people need to realize is this: in America, that shit is still needed. When you look at people who try to get bank loans, okay, all things equal, all things, credit score, everything's equal. Guess what? The white person is still more likely to get it. Okay. White people get mad about stuff. Look, even like with education. Okay. You had the girl, the first case that went to the Supreme Court with education. You had a young lady, a white kid, and she said she felt like she was discriminated against because she didn't get into UT.
Right.
But there were 40-something black kids who had better scores than her and better grades than her who also didn't get in. So we as a community really need to look at these things and say, okay, I would love for us not to need that, but we ain't there yet.
Yeah.
We are not there yet. And just like you said, the government will, if it, as of right now, you are looking at regulations, you are looking at fines, you are looking at grants being taken away, you are looking at not being able to get contracts. You're looking at all of those things, okay? We can't do anything about that this year.
Right.
But,
Real soon.
yeah, 2026. You can vote for congressmen, you can vote for senators, okay? In your particular state, whatever state you're in, when there's state elections, you can vote for your state congressman, you can vote for your state senators, okay? You need to make sure that your city councilmen, your aldermen, whatever the fuck y'all have in your city, these people are looking out for your best interest. Okay. And they need to be looking out for the best interest of your neighbor, because that shit trickles down. And that's what people don't realize. A lot of times I'll hear, black people look at some shit and they'll be like, oh, with Hispanic people, they'll be like, oh, that's not us. Oh, motherfucker, they're going to come for them. They're going to come for us too eventually.
So I do want to get to a few comments on here real quick. So Walanda's on here. She said the 2023 Supreme Court decision barring racist consideration in university admissions has led to increased scrutiny of corporate DEI programs. Organizations are facing lawsuits challenging the legality. Organizations must reassess their DEI strategies to ensure they comply with new regulations while striving to meet diversity objectives. Yeah, so I mean, like she said, it's hard, man, just doing that. And another thing that I think she touched on and that you guys touched on too is like, you got to weigh your pros and your cons. Like, is it even worth getting into a DEI program when you start thinking about the fines, the public, like all the things that we talked about, the internal divisiveness, the public outlash, like all of this shit, you really have to look at it. Okay, is it worth it? Are we doing this for the right reason? Do we need it? I know we need it. I think we need it. But as a business, you got to kind of look at, where the money's coming, how much money you got to spend on it, and what's your return on that investment. And that's our final discussion. And that's around financial concerns. So implementing and maintaining a DEI program can be a costly business expense. Ace, what benefits must a business see in order to keep their DEI program in place?
I mean, wow. I mean, you can look at it from, you can look at it from a lot of angles. I mean, DEI programs are going to do a couple of things. I mean, one, it should give you a better employee, the right employee that's doing the job. Morality of the places work. The morale of the place is better. People feel included.
Yep.
I think I got an awesome company. I don't want to say their name, but I think my company does a great job at that. And with that being said, because I'm there and I can visually see, like in leadership and in other departments, I can see the diversity. And I can see that they go out of their way and they do things and say things. I just feel better working there. With that being said, with me feeling better than working there, I think I perform and I go in with not only just because they pay me, I do that because I have some pride in the company.
Yep.
Because I feel that way. I'm going to assume most people are going to operate and function like that. I've worked in companies where I didn't think they cared on who I was. They were looking out on who I was as a person, and I didn't invest. I mean, obviously I wasn't with them, but I didn't want to invest in them because I didn't see me going anywhere. I didn't see anybody that looked like me going anywhere. And I just thought it was all bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the benefits. I think the benefits outweigh them. And the company I work with is a very profitable company, been profitable for years, and definitely been around, pretty much for, at least by the turn of the century. They're not no new company. So with that being said, I know it was probably a time that they didn't have any diversity. Right. And over the years and over the many years they've existed, they've found out how valuable that is, especially this day and age. So I think the profit comes from, you got a better employee, they're going to do a better job, you're going to get better production, and you're going to see profits from that.
Yeah.
Pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So, and they'll be vested. I'm going to be vested in a company that makes me feel that I can be Black or I can express my Blackness, and they even address that sometimes and allow me to do that. I'm going to feel better about it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
not just a feeling better. When you look at innovation, America has an opportunity to do things that, I mean, there are some European countries that have a diverse population. But when you look at America, okay, and you compare it to somewhere where like China.
Right.
China is a homogenous society. Everybody's Asian over there, okay? America has a diverse population. That is an opportunity to innovate because we have people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different cultures, and we have all those ideas.
Yeah.
If you are not taking that and using it as an advantage, your corporations, look, that's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
That's gonna get you. And unfortunately, right now our society doesn't really see that. We don't see that the fact that we are a nation of African Americans, Hispanic people, Italian Americans, Irish Americans, Jewish Americans, Japanese Americans, Chinese Americans, everybody. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All these people come in with something different. All these people come in with something from their culture that we might not even think about.
Right.
Okay. Each of these people coming in with their ideas contributes. If you look at companies that have strong DEI programs, usually they are more profitable. And that is why.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And, you touched on it, we're probably the only nation that also you have to put a hyphen in front of all your Americans. It's white Americans, black Americans. Well, not white, we're all just Americans when it comes down to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think people forget about that. Yeah, we all have different backgrounds and cultures and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, in the story, we're all Americans, and there's nobody who has claim to this country more than another. I don't care if your ancestors did come over here on the Mayflower, whatever the case may be. They also tricked the Indians and killed them all when they were sitting here down on the side of the shore. And after they showed them put a fish in the ground, if you want to grow corn, they turned around and took the land from them. I'm saying, so getting back to the point, nobody has claim on it.
Right.
We're just American. But the thing is if we got to come up with plans like DEI, why is that? That's because somebody said, hey, my culture is better than yours. You need to learn my culture. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically where it is, to the point where now we have to say, well, damn, what about my culture? Can I be included in that? Right. Can you not hold that against me? You know what I'm saying? Because that's basically what DEI said. Don't hold it against me.
Yeah.
And include me. You know what I'm saying? And if we line up each other and I'm a better candidate, and the only reason you're going to get hired is because of the color of your skin, then let's not make that a problem, because I'm the better candidate. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Let's put that on an equal playing field. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some people don't want that equal playing field.
Yeah. We got a comment on here. Walanda said, diverse teams outperform homogenous ones in decision-making as they consider a broader range of perspectives and potential outcomes. Inclusivity reduces groupthink and improves strategic planning. Businesses committed to DEI are seen as socially responsible, enhancing their reputation among customers, partners, and investors. And consumers increasingly prefer to support brands that prioritize inclusivity and social justice. So a bunch of benefits, like of keeping a DEI program in place. And I think that Steve, you touched on like the one about a broader range of perspectives and things like innovation is what you called it, right? I think Ace, you touched on like, hey, we the essence of what DEI is, right? I should be there at the table, but at the same time, I want to be included, like, and I want you to understand me as an individual that matters, right? So at the end of the day, man, I think that there's a lot of benefits to DEI. And unfortunately, there are some companies that don't have the investments to probably battle against what's going to be coming in our new Congress, because I think that there's going to be some challenge to DEI because they keep using the term woke as a negative thing and saying these woke companies, woke TV shows. You brought up like Disney, just want to put, you can't have a black princess. There's no such thing as a black Santa Claus. Santa Claus ain't real, nigga. So there's no such thing as Santa Claus, no matter what color he is. You look at commercials now, and they got a lot. There's mixed couples on every commercial that you see, damn near. Before that would have been blasphemy back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But things are being accepted more, and people are understanding that the generations that are coming up, like that are younger than us, color don't really mean as much to them as it did to us.
No, well, that's through the education too. I mean, and here's the thing, and with the young people, you got to understand that, and I'll be funny. I got an ancestry.com. You know what I'm saying? You get to go put your people in there, and I'm talking to people in their 20s and 30s right now who think that, oh man, that's in the past. I don't see color no more. We're all equal. Bullshit. Bullshit. You got living relatives that went through segregation. That was 2 generations ago, bro. That means your mama or me, we were getting bussed still.
Mhm.
We were getting bussed from the black neighborhoods to white schools. It was a time when I was walking to school. It was 3 black people.
Mhm.
And we all came. I all know all of them. We were still in that shit when I was in school. You know, my mom and them, they were still doing the back of the bus, drinking out of colored water fountains. Not far-fetched. Them are people you're gonna see this week in Christmas sitting right across from the table from you that went through that shit. Stop letting white people and them tell you that's some old shit, because it's not.
Well, it's not.
You know,
I'll put it to you this way, man. It is old shit, and it's old people holding on to that shit. You're right. It still exists. Is your point? It does exist, and I agree with you 100%. But it is going to go away at some point, because if you look at it, like I said, think about 50 years ago. A black man could not be with a white woman 50 years ago without having some crazy ass looks or some motherfucker saying
shit
some
was against
shit.
the law.
Now, 50 years ago, you thinking that's the 70s. So I'm thinking about the 70s where it wasn't against the law. But if you did that shit and you was out in the open with it, motherfuckers looked at you like you was on some other shit. They looked at you like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Whether you with a white woman or a white woman, why you with this black man? You know, it was looked at in a negative way. And to your point, let's go back 50 more years from that.
It was illegal.
It was illegal.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this. You're right. There's still people alive. Like they said in the 70s, there's still people who were alive when it was illegal. And now we still got people who were alive in the 70s who didn't like it. Eventually, them motherfuckers are going to be gone. And eventually, these kids today who say what you say will be empowered. They will be the old motherfuckers. And at that point, we're probably going to be in a much better place, because a lot of people, their generation, they don't care about color. They don't care about that shit. You can go to any school today and you're going to see black boys and white girls kissing and holding hands and all. They don't care now. Now, that I will be so happy when that day comes. It ain't here yet, to your point. There's a lot of motherfuckers in power who are still holding on to that old shit from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. But one day, when these kids today become the ones that are leading our country, they don't care about that shit. Yeah. Straight up. They don't. And then we won't need DEI.
Yeah.
That will be the day. Today, we need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the fear of what I'm trying to say that is, don't take it lightly right now that they are going after your DEI.
Oh yeah, right now for sure.
And they're saying it to the point where, and it's a conscious effort. You know, if you look at what Greg Abbott's doing, DeSantis, the Trump administration is going to do, is a conscious effort to go after that. And I think what it is going to create another hurdle for some of these youngsters that not understanding is getting put up, because hey, you know what? Still people like you say in the back office that understand how shit was out when segregation was, and they liked it like that. And they're trying to bring it back to that, and they're trying to trick you up with history. You know what I'm saying? So be aware.
Well, one of the things that they're doing is, just like you were saying, I agree with that. But the backlash comes from this. The backlash for things like DEI comes from the lack of education on history, the lack of education as to why people might have economic disadvantages, why whole freaking cultural neighborhoods might have economic disadvantages and everything. And then you do have some, young white folks who will be like, well, that's not fair. And they'll feel it's not fair because they don't have historical context, and it is important and that is why DEI is important. That is why it is important to understand different cultures, different histories. And another thing I want to say is this. Look, I just want to touch on this. We live in a global economy.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a whole bunch of white people in your board of directors and you're having to deal with something where it's in Asia and you have nobody who understands Asian culture, guess what? You're going to be at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
If you go to Africa and you have nobody who understands geographically the different African cultures, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So we really need to rethink this. This is bad. The more diverse, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we went through most of the comments on here. So I am going to give a little bit of an opportunity for callers. If you want to call into the show, you can reach us at 210-728-6581. Probably give a few minutes to see if anybody wants to call in today. And with that being said, I'm open to any other comments, any observations you guys want to make about DEI, any additional information you want to share.
Yeah, I mean, I think we summed up a lot of it, exactly, and the importance of it. And I like the way we're ending at it is because, I do want people to have a better understanding of what the importance of that is. I've just had some conversations with some young people that I just don't get it. Like, listen to Candace Owens, and I'm like, you're letting them kind of tell you. You're letting people convince you that like you're making them make you think that you're on a level playing field and things aren't equal. And maybe you are, which they're not, but maybe you are.
She not.
But I'm just saying maybe you are. I mean, but sometimes I've heard Morgan Freeman say this bullshit, and I'm like, yeah, Morgan Freeman, you're a accomplished actor that's been acting for 100 years or however the fuck old you are. Nobody knows how old you are, but you've been acting forever. So your lifestyle isn't everybody's average fucking lifestyle. Yeah, you made it and you did you good. Like most people will, but a lot of us that are in the working class, and that's usually when you're talking about votes and politics, that's who they're going after. They don't have that luxury and lifestyle to live in the world where all of you rich people are all equal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because most of us, there's a divisive line there. And unfortunately, when you start going down the pecking order, there's disadvantages, and that's where DEI comes into play. So it's just that with a couple of conversations with people, they're like 40 and under. It was just real disturbing when they had the idea that like, no, that's fine, and that was something that happened a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you can't look at it like that, because honestly, I got more days behind me than ahead of me. So like you said, more than likely, this isn't going to be an issue for me. They're really attacking you guys and you right now to where you're going to look into, it's going to affect you in the future.
I agree with you, but I'll reiterate again that I think the problem is people tend to self-identify with the problem. And like Morgan Freeman or Candace Owens, they're not thinking outside. They're just thinking about how they're being impacted in life. Mm-hmm. And both of those people are successful. Morgan Freeman, her. So they're like, well, there's no such thing as that anymore. Look at me. I got millions of dollars and I'm narrating all kind of shit and I'm on every podcast and whatever. So that's bullshit. They don't like, it's like somebody in your family that don't fuck with nobody. Everybody got that one person in their family. You reach out to that mother, what? You know what I'm saying? They don't fuck with nobody. They don't go to the family reunions. They don't do shit. They just Uncle Earl. Yeah. And Uncle Earl is just Uncle Earl. He don't fuck with nobody. But then you got somebody like maybe Ace, who he's going to go to all the family reunions. He's going to go to all the get-togethers. He's going to socialize. And he's going to talk to people. Like, he probably has a better understanding of things happening outside of his own house or his own space because he's interacting with a lot of people. Like, I would think that a Morgan Freeman or a Candace Owens or even younger people, sometimes they just see like what they see. They're not old enough yet to understand that there's a bigger world out there that has different things going on with what's happening to just you.
Exactly.
You're just internalizing everything. You need to be looking at it with a wider lens, right? So that's what happens sometimes. Now, to my point earlier, anyone could look back at history and you can keep going back like we did before, 50 years before, and things were different. Things change. Societal norms just change. Things don't stay the same. We've been treated much worse 150 years ago than we are today. So there has been change, right? But there was times we couldn't even get a house or get a job or fuck it. You can't even go up to the damn place to interview. They'd be like, nigga, what you doing here? The fuck out of here. Like, at least you could turn in your damn interview papers today. You might not get one, but you know what I'm saying? Shit continues to change. And I do think that if they put things into perspective, if younger people say, yeah, you know what? Things ain't going to be this way in 50 years. Because today, where you can see a black and white kid on a commercial on TV, if there was not going to put no mixed kid on no commercial, unless they thought that mixed kid was white and they didn't know.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that was not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Now you got mixed kids all over the place. Things are changing. So yes, once all these motherfuckers who are prejudiced and shit die off or whatever, and once the people who like, let's say, I'm going to put it even younger, 14 to 18 years old. Once those kids become the 50 years old and 60 years old people, things are going to be a lot different. Because those kids that are 14 to 18 right now, they don't care about any of that shit. They really, really don't. Like, there might be some parents at home still, because you know it starts at home.
Yeah.
There might be some parents at home still instilling racism within their house. But the majority of these kids out here, 14 to 18, they don't see color at all. They could give a fat rat's ass about that shit. Now, what people have to remember is it's still impacting us today. We got to wait 50 more years. And to your point, we might be gone when that shit happens. We might never get to experience it.
Yeah. And I would also say this, though. We need to be careful because when you talk about institutionalized racism, getting rid of these DEI programs is recreating the institutions that started institutionalized racism. So it's easy to say, you know, when the kids that are 14 to 18 are in power, they're not going to think like that. But guess what? If they get into a situation where all the white kids are in power, and then they look around and at one point they have to share that power, even though originally they might not have thought like that, that changes your perspective. So if we play our cards right, you are absolutely right. But unfortunately, right now, what I feel like we're doing is we're fanning the flames. If you don't understand other cultures, then you're gonna believe all sorts of stereotypes and stuff like that. If we don't have these programs, you know, then there's not going to be a point where we don't need the programs. We're trying to get there, just like you said, and I agree. You know, it's not. You know, it's getting better and better, but we're not there yet.
No, I agree with that too. And I'll say this to your point. I agree. We'll be in a much better place with DEI programs because they help us understand one another. They make us more accepting of change. But at the same time, we've gone from being slaves to having our own podcast, having our own houses, having our own jobs.
Shit, we had a black president.
We had a black president. You know what I'm saying? Without DEI programs, for the most part. Most of those years from slavery to now happened without DEI, while people still didn't understand us and how we did. So change will still happen, right? But you're right. I'm not trying to say you're not right. Because yes, change will be a lot more easier if we keep DEI programs than it would be without them. Because look how long it took us to get to where the fuck we at today without them. So I agree. Having those programs in place will facilitate change and make it a lot easier. But it could still happen without them. It's just going to take longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And speak about that timeline, man. We got to a point, and I think when Obama kind of got elected, we were like, man, we finally turned the corner on some of this shit. I think everybody felt that way. Here we are.
Still having the same fucking talk.
And we're having the same conversation in 2024. So that's the discouraging part about that. And that, you know, I think anybody listening to this is going to understand, we don't want to talk about DEI. I don't want to be in a world where I got to talk about, man, you know, think about me, include me. Yeah. Put me on a level playing field. Right. I hate sometimes at work, my mind goes and says, oh shit, here we go with this bullshit. Right. I mean, that's that. I think most black people have that realistic feeling that when it comes to maybe in your workplace, sometimes it's some racist bullshit going on behind the scenes. They're having a meeting that I ain't included in. That you know, or you know, I'm not gonna get pushed up with this, you know, but because of this reason or that reason, or you know, hey man, I've got the same qualifications, but they're not interviewing me. Right. They're not, you know, and so we like all that to go away. Yeah. Yeah. You know, but unfortunately, like I said, we got to sit here. We got to talk about DEI programs and things not being equal because that's something we still see today. Yes, sir. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like I said, and I think that 2008, Obama got elected. We were like, oh, wow. we got a black president. Things are going to be different. I think everybody kind of felt that way.
Yeah.
Then here we go. Where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And even after this election, we're like, wow. You know, like, no, it has not. Because, you know, you just, you know, I say this all day long. I don't care where you lie, blue, red, wherever. Line up the candidates and look and be like, well, who the fuck did we vote for compared to the candidate that we had?
Yeah.
Like, it just don't make no sense. And if there's no, what's the other play other than skin color?
Yeah.
Because he's not even qualified to even run against that person.
Yeah.
You know, and they can say he's a change agent and all that bullshit. But no, I'm talking about like if I reverse the roles, I don't think if Trump's black and Kamala's white, he even gets in the fucking room to even run against her.
Oh, hell no.
That's what I'm saying.
He ran against Hillary and she was white. So I mean,
no, man,
the woman thing comes into play.
The woman play. I mean, but I just don't. But I don't think that. I don't think that somebody his character and who he is and what he's done even gets to run for fucking president if he's another color.
If it was 10 years ago, he wouldn't. Today, our societal norms have changed so much. We don't care about shit that we used to care about. And this is what I keep talking about. Change is inevitable. Like, even with our politicians, they were supposed to like be the individual who you would aspire to be. You look up to the president, like, and maybe even some people still do today for whatever reason. But most individuals will tell you things like, well, I just want him to do the change. I don't want him to be my school teacher. I just want him to change I just don't want him to change the gun laws. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care about his character. They don't care about what he does well. They don't care about like the fucked up shit that he said or done. They cast all that aside and vote for him based on what he wants to do. That people don't care about who the president is, what he is. Now, they'll use it against you. If your candidate does some fucked up shit, they'll use that against you. But they don't care about if theirs does. People don't care about that shit anymore. It's sad, but true. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you know, DEI is something that, I mean, like we said, and I think you touched on it perfectly, Steve, is that it's something that we still need. I mean, we don't put things into place because they're not necessary. Nobody spends millions of dollars on a program because because we don't need it, because it's not going to do something positive. But DEI does a lot of positive things for us. We need to take advantage of those things and the people in our organizations and help to know about them and also, you know, just make sure that we motivate and inspire them to bring their cultural differences to the table so that we can innovate and be better organizations, and so that we can also drive to just be successful for our customers and earn more revenue. Yeah. But unfortunately, to Steve's point as well, I think that we need to do a lot in the next 2 years. And even before that, if you find that there's companies that aren't about DEI, don't just sit back and say, I don't like that company. Don't buy shit from them. I mean, people make you, well, I have to go to Home Depot and Lowe's. No, you don't. You can go to Amazon, you can go to local hardware store, you can do whatever. It might be more difficult to do it, but the only way that we're going to impact these companies is by not giving them our dollars. Just like Steve said earlier, that boycott for the bus boycott, the motherfuckers couldn't exist because they weren't getting revenue, because a lot of their passengers were black, right? And so when they stopped spending their money on those buses, they came to the table and brought us to the table and said, please come back. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you sit wherever the fuck you want. Please come back. We need your money. And that's the same thing we can do with these other companies. If we stop investing in companies that are doing bad things or doing things that we don't agree with, maybe they'll change their stance. But we don't take our time to do the research, find out what companies are doing those things. We don't take our time and make decisions to say, hey, I'm not going to spend money with this company. We need to do that at the end of the day, man.
And something that we need to learn from our previous generations is they were willing to hurt to get progress.
Yeah, themselves. Like, I got to walk to work now.
Yeah, you know, and pull together and have to carpool and shit like that. If we're not willing to hurt to get change, well, then you probably not going to get it.
Nope.
Okay. you have to be willing to sacrifice. Like I said, you have to be willing to pay a little bit more money. You have to be willing to maybe sometimes drive a little further.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to look at what is better for me 10 years from now, or, you know, even 4 or 5 years from now. It ain't going to take that long for people to look at something and say, damn, we starting to lose money. That don't take that long.
Nope.
But if you are not willing to hurt to get what you want, then you're not going to get it.
And if hurt means not getting that motherfucking new fan that you wanted to get and using the old fan, that ain't too bad. That's not too much hurt.
Exactly.
Okay. You don't gotta spend your money at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can wait. Like you said, wait a few years or whatever. Just wait to get that new appliance or whatever. Unless your shit is broken, then guess what? Go to Best Buy or someplace else. Spend a little bit more. That's that sacrifice. So, hey, man, I want to thank everybody out there on Facebook, everybody out there on YouTube for joining us. I want to thank Walanda for the comments and holding us down, making sure we stay within our time frames here, or trying to keep us within those time frames. I want to thank Ace for always bringing the knowledge to the show. Steve as well for bringing that knowledge and the expertise. We will not be meeting for the next 2 weeks because we will be celebrating Christmas and New Year's Eve. So we will be back on the horn and the podcast live streaming within 2 weeks. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Left Wing Kings. Listen, think, act, repeat.